I'd like to share 10 tips to dealing with grief, with the emotions of grief. Okay? But before I do that, I would like to say hello. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, you're very, very welcome. So 10 tips to dealing with the emotions of grief. Number 1. The first one is allowing grief in when it comes knocking at the door. And that is really, I mean, a lot of the time people use that analogy of when, grief comes in waves. And it's quite a lot like that for me. And it's allowing yourself to ride that wave, to acknowledge that wave, to feel that it's here, to allow it to run its course, if you like. Because feeling is, if we feel, we're closer to healing, okay? And that's what's important. So in order to allow those emotions in is allowing us time to process, to acknowledge, to feel, to heal, and to hopefully move forward with what it is that we're carrying. Okay, so it's acknowledging and it's processing. So that's important. That would be the number 1. Number 2 would be talking. Now, a lot of us may think, well, what is the point in talking? It's a waste of time because your circumstances are still the same as they were before you started talking. So what's the point in doing that? But there is a point. The point is that you are offloading, that whatever the thoughts and feelings are in your head are actually brought to your tongue and you're talking about them, which means that your ears can hear them. And the process of doing that in itself helps us to process and acknowledge and deal with emotion. So it has its place. And you can talk to anybody that you feel gets you. It can be a member of the family, it can be a trusted friend, it can be support groups, it can be things such as this. So, a YouTube channel where we have like-minded people and people, our people, which you can say, where you feel safe to say, I'm struggling today, and someone will, offer you that ear that you maybe need that day. That's important. Okay, so talking, absolutely. Number 3 would be writing things down. It's quite similar to talking, number 2, but it's, again, a way of taking out what's inside and putting it down on paper. In this sense, it's not what you're hearing, it's what you're seeing and what you're reading back to yourself. So it's a way of offloading and processing and working through what you're feeling and what you're thinking and your emotions. Okay? So that is quite important. So journaling is very important. Sometimes before you go to bed, if your head and mind is very busy, and there's a lot of traffic in there, it's probably a good time to sort of write things down, to journal, before then going to bed and going to sleep, because you've actually taken it out from here and put it onto paper, okay, with the aid of a pen. So that's good. Number 4 would be creating rituals. Now, that is whatever that means to you. I've never really talked about visiting, cemetery before in any videos. If your loved one is buried in a cemetery, and I have women, because a lot of you will know that I counsel and support women who have also experienced child loss, and I do that for a charity. I volunteer for a charity. And some of my clients do share that they go to the cemetery, every day, and they've been going every day ever since they lost their child. And that's okay. If that works for them, if that means that they feel a sense of calm or a sense of peace by doing that, that's okay. It doesn't really have that effect for me. For me, it's going to the cemetery means, yes, I find it peaceful, but do I feel closer to my son? No, I don't. I'm afraid it doesn't do that for me. So it's really whatever it is. There's certain places that you might go to that you associate with that person, and you've got good, happy memories with that place, and you might visit there. So anything, having any rituals where you feel closer to your loved one and it gives you some comfort, then it's good to practice that. For me, I have one of my son's favorite scarves and some perfume that he used. He had lots of perfumes, but that particular one perfume really does, for me, make me feel that he's close by. So I do spray that scarf and I smell that, and that gives me comfort. So I do that. I do that every so often. Be kind to yourself. I think that's important, because we're not robots. We're not programmed. We're not programmed to be a certain way, or to if we had a decent day yesterday, that doesn't mean to say it's going to be like that today. Be forgiving to yourself. Cut yourself some slack. Okay. If you are having a bad day, if you are having a day where you just feel that you want to stay in your pajamas or just chill that day, you don't want to particularly do anything, so you need to allow yourself that time and not beat yourself up about that. I think that's important to do that. So be kind to yourself. The next one is reaching out. Now, if you feel that journaling or talking or carrying out these rituals aren't really cutting it for you, and you are really, really struggling, and you have been struggling for some time, ask for help. Reach out. Don't suffer in silence. Don't feel that it's a sense of weakness to do that, or you failed at something, or you've let that person down, your loved one down. You haven't done that. You haven't done any of the above. It's actually a sense of showing courage to ask for help, to say, look, I'm really struggling here. I think I need a little bit more than meditation or mindfulness techniques. I think I need something a little bit more than that. It's not a sign of weakness, and you may feel much better. Professional help might look like, it might be professional talking therapy. It might be CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, that might help, or EMDR, that might help, or medication perhaps. So it could be several things that you might just need a little bit of something to just help you along, okay, and help to hopefully get you to a place where you can put other things into place, that's going to help you process those emotions around grief, okay. Be creative. Now, that being creative could mean anything. It could be, if you enjoy gardening, it might be, creating a new flower bed, let's say, and you see, the benefits of that, next spring perhaps. But it's something that you've created, and it's a sense of, self-expression. It could be artwork. It could be painting, drawing. It could be, knitting something. It could be working on a piece of music, perhaps, or playing an instrument. It could be so many things, but and these things can have a very cathartic effect on you, and can be very, very healing when you're having moments of deep emotional pain. I mean, if you think about it, some of the best pieces and some of the best songs were written when people were feeling at their lowest. So it's really a place where people actually get really creative, because the emotions are running so raw. So some of the best work is actually created when people are feeling that low. Something to think about there. Self-compassion when grieving. I think it's important to check in on where you are at with your grief. And when we talk about the 5 stages of grief, we know that they're not linear, and I've talked about that in another video, 5 stages plus 2 of grief. So I have talked about that, but it's quite important to be open and honest with yourself about that those 5 stages are 5 stages, but they're not in any kind of linear fashion. And it's not that if you do get to the acceptance stage, that then you can step off the grief platform. It doesn't work like that. It can be backwards and forwards constantly. It's a continuum rather than 5 stages. It's an absolute continuum that you can be going up and down. Be mindful about that and be forgiving to yourself. Don't think that, oh well, it's been 4 years now. For me, it's been 4 years, and I should have really got to this stage, and I should have maybe, it's not that. It really isn't, and we're not comparing one's grief to another. It's not a competition. It's our own unique journey, and I don't really like using that word, but sometimes it expresses it quite well, that we are on our own unique journey. We're not comparing ourselves to others. We're not thinking, well, so and so didn't need medication. Why do I? Why am I stuck here in this depression stage of grief? Why am I here? That kind of thing. We don't need to do that. We don't need to compare ourselves to anybody else. We are on our own journey, and if we feel that we need that professional help, then we should reach out for that. Okay. I think the 10th final tip here that I have for you is allow joy in too. So you're allowing that grief in, and you're allowing those emotions to come, and when they come knocking on the door, but there's also joy and happiness that comes knocking on your door as well. Don't forget to answer the door when they come showing up, when they come visiting. It's really, really important to allow them in too. We are exceptional creatures. We can have joy and sorrow at the same time. We can laugh and cry at the same time. We've seen people do it, and we do it, and that's okay. To allow yourself that, to allow those moments of happiness, to not feel guilty about that. You are not, in some way showing that you are forgetting your loved one. We are never going to forget our loved ones. We know that. And to feel all the emotions, is important. So it's not only the negative emotions of grief, it's feeling all the emotions, and sometimes remembering our loved ones with happy thoughts, with happy times. The happy times is really, really important as well. Okay. And to not feel guilty about those. Okay. You're not letting anybody down at all. Okay, I hope some of these tips were helpful to you. Maybe some of them, maybe all of them. Please do share if you know of anyone who is struggling with emotions around grief. Do share this video. It might be of help to them. Do comment, do subscribe, because I am trying to build that platform, still doing that. So let's see where we get with that. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So until then, take care of your hearts and souls. Thank you.